welcome to today's Big Brother 19 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Van Scott. Boy, are you lucky to be house guest of the day today, because this is a real freaking mess. But thank you so much for your support. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. So you've probably noticed by now that this video is really long, because a lot of crazy shit went down. OMG. So I want to pick it up where we left off yesterday before the nominations happened. So Alex and Jess were having a game chat in the Apple Lounge, and Jess is like, I know that everyone's telling you to put me up, but if you do, you're just going to be doing their dirty work. So don't. So Alex is like, Jess, you're not the target this week. I want you to know that. But I'm probably going to have to put you up to appease some people, because if I don't, they're going to freaking cut my butt off and put it on my face. She didn't say that, but that's basically what she meant. So Jess is like, okay, that's fine. I get it. But she lets Alex know she's not working with the cool kids anymore. She wants to work with Alex's group. And she wants to flip this house upside down. I would love to see that. So Alex is like, great. Don't tell anybody that you know about this, because if you do, it'll screw over the both of us. So, like, don't think that you're going to be messing with my game. You're going to be screwing yourself over, too. So she's like, all right, sounds good. So then, yesterday, this feels like a million years ago, Christmas returned from the hospital. Woo! So it was a little bit after 3 p.m., everyone greeted her. Everyone was smiling. Yeah, the energy is different, I have to say, now that Cody's out of the house. So she said that she's feeling a lot better. She did have to stay another night in the hospital, longer than they expected because of the pain. It was that bad. She just could not be released for the live show. Her foot was messed up. The doctor said that it looked like a bomb went off in her foot, because it basically did. And as Kevin said, that bomb was called Whistle Nut. So the surgery took like 4 hours, and she actually broke 10 bones. She heard the doctor wrong before. She thought he had said 2 bones. It was 10 bones. She dislocated 4. They had to reconstruct a ligament. They put in all these pins and screws. She even needed a freaking donor bone from like a cadaver. That's freaking nuts. So she's gonna have to go for a recast next week. Her current cast is gigantic, because this is like a post-op cast. So she's going to be wearing a cast for a minimum of 6 weeks. I feel like it could be longer, but you never know. Foot injuries are weird when they like put you in a boot or whatever. I feel like she's not going to be able to walk on that for a while though. And I think they sent her back with like a walker too. So she's going to be switching back and forth between crutches and a walker. They should give her a freaking wheelchair, man. Right? That would make things easier, I think. But anyway, hello. Somebody asked her if she would ever get her full mobility back, and she said no, and she starts crying. She was very emotional, which like is understandable. She said that it's going to take about a year to recover, and the doctor told her that arthritis is going to set in within 1 to 5 years, and then she's going to need another surgery to fuse everything together. That is so messed up. So they're all trying to comfort her while she's crying. She's really upset, and she announces like she's probably going to be retired from athletics now. You know, she's not going to have her full mobility in her foot. And this is life-changing for her, because that's her career. That is like everything. So she's like, I don't want anybody to feel bad for me. I'm going to need help every once in a while from you guys. So they're all like, yeah, of course. And you see off to the side, Jason is very upset and emotional because he had a part to play in this. I mean, they were horsing around, but he was partially responsible for it. So Christmas pulls Jason aside to chat in the Apple Lounge. She's like, I don't want you to carry any guilt at all. This was not your fault. And Jason is saying like he wishes that he could take it back. And Christmas is like, I know, man, we were horsing around, but for whatever reason, this was God's plan. It's gonna be okay. I gotta commend her for her positive attitude, because I know, like, if I was in her position and I was an athlete and like that happened and they're just like, nope, no more athletics, I'd be like, what? It would suck. So good for her for, you know, finding the silver lining. So then Alex was talking to Christmas in the Rose bedroom, and prior to this conversation, she was talking to Paul, and Paul instructed her, you need to get information about what Cody was telling her before she left for her surgery. You also need to talk to her about the last eviction vote, find out where she voted. So Alex immediately asked Christmas, like, hey, what was going on with that Cody conversation before you left the house? So Christmas is like, blah, blah, blah. Cody told me that the girls were uncomfortable around me and that made me a target. And she also said, oh yeah, Cody mentioned that 2 people knew what his plan was going to be last week. So Alex is like, yeah, that's lining up with what he said during Dominique's talk show. So she was telling Christmas more about that. Christmas seemed really interested in it. And Alex lets her know, yeah, he said that 2 people were involved, but he didn't say names. And then Mark got really heated, and he started asking him questions about it, and it was, like, really awkward. And Christmas is like, yeah, Cody actually told me 2 names, but she didn't want to drop them at first, so we'll come back to that. So then Christmas is asking Alex about her nominations for this week. And Alex is like, relax, I'm not looking at you as a potential nominee right now. But she was thinking about maybe a back door. Don't forget about that. She didn't mention it, though. So then Alex is saying, a lot of people have been coming up to me since you got back with concerns about your injury. You know, they're worried about you, and they're coming to me because I'm HOH. And Christmas is like, yeah, I get that they're concerned, but this is my business. You know, I had the choice if I was going to stay here or go home. I decided to stay, and I hope that people respect that. Okay, so then Alex is like, I'm going to need your help this week to carry out my plan. I know you can't compete much anymore, but I'm going to need your vote, and that's something that you can do. So she's saying, do not vote for the obvious target, okay? We need to get rid of the person who's been stirring the pot. So there's going to be the obvious target up there, and then the person that I want you to vote out. So vote out that person. And Christmas is like, okay, it's done. So then Christmas returns to her conversation with Cody, and she's like, yeah, Cody told me that Mark and Dominique were not happy with me after that one Big Brother After Dark talk show when Christmas was asking Mark about his relationship with Elena and if it was like showmance or a romance, and that was making them uncomfortable and blah, blah, blah. So then they went and told Cody that they don't trust Christmas anymore. So that also led to her being nominated. So drop those names, girl. So then Alex confirms, like, yeah, I'm putting up a girl next to Jess, and it may or may not be the girl you just mentioned, aka Dominique. Okay. So then Christmas was really trying to piece together what she missed. So she was going around talking to people. She was talking to Matt in the bathroom area, and she was like, I'm really curious. Do you remember what the voting order was? So Matt is like, well, I know I went last and Jess went first. So Christmas is like, oh, really? Jess went first, because she knows that Jess voted to evict Ramses. And she knows that she was, I guess, like, what, the 3rd person to vote? So she's like, maybe the 2nd person to vote was that 3rd person that voted to evict Ramses, which I believe it was, because didn't they put all of them back to back to back? And that was Kevin. But she was like, yeah, do you remember who voted 2nd? And Matt was like, no, I don't. Of course not. Okay. But damn, Christmas, are you like trying to give away that you were the other hinky vote? Good thing that Matt did not put that together. He's not the brightest bulb. But anyway, she was also asking Matt a lot of questions about Dominique's talk show from Wednesday night. She was really curious, like, what Dominique was asking that was, like, offending everybody, and then, like, how people were reacting to Cody's answers and things like that. Alright, so then it was time for nominations. As expected, Alex put up Dominique and Jessica on the block. Dominique is the target. And when the feeds came back, Dominique was already in her bed and under the covers. She was over that shit. Okay, so Mark is really upset because Dominique is his emotional soulmate. So he visited her in the Rose bedroom where she was under her covers. And Dominique's like, you know what? I don't trust our group anymore, because she's pretty darn sure that Matt, Raven, and Elena all knew that this was coming and didn't tell her. So Mark is like, yeah, did you see how nonchalant Matt and Raven were acting? after the nominations. He doesn't like that. He also doesn't like that Matt told him to check his emotions. He'll cry if he wants to! So then Mark's like, yeah, I'm freaking done with Matt and Raven. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's, again, Mark's emotions talking. I think, you know, he's going to be a little bit more cautious with them right now, but I'm sure he'll freaking bounce back to them. So Dominique is like, yeah, I noticed everybody started acting strangely around me like 3 days ago, so I kind of knew that this was coming. And, yeah. So Mark is like, don't worry, it's not over yet. We still have the veto. I'm going to talk to Alex and see what I can do because I'm close to Jason and Jason's close to Alex and blah, 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 blah. All right. So anyway, where are we? Oh, Dominique is like, you know what? I think Elena threw that HOH competition to Alex because she didn't want to get blood on her hands. And this is where it starts getting nasty because Dominique is like, this was strictly a jealousy move. She's trying to say that Elena is jealous of her relationship with Mark. I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. I'm pretty sure Dominique is jealous of Elena's relationship with Mark. But she also said, the unfortunate thing about BB is for some apparent reason, someone is always coming for the black person. It never fails. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to comment on that because I am not a black woman, so I do not feel comfortable commenting on that, but I'm just putting it out there. Okay, so meanwhile, Paul and Christmas were having a game chat in the Apple Lounge. So Paul asks straight up, did you vote to evict Ramses? And Christmas admits, yes, I did. So then she was asking Paul about the voting order. He doesn't remember it anyway, so he says, but he freaking knows that Kevin was the missing vote, so what does he care? But anyway, Christmas is again rehashing the Cody chat, and they're talking about the talk show again, and Christmas is saying that she believes what Cody was saying. It's all making sense because after she was nominated last week, Mark was freaking avoiding her. Dominique was acting weird. So Christmas is then trying to explain to Paul why she voted Ramses out. And he's just like, I don't care. But she's still trying to give this explanation. Something about like, she knew that Mark was working with Cody and she thought that he was going to betray him or something. So she wanted to throw that vote out there. It wasn't really a clear, concise explanation, but Paul didn't care anyway, so Paul's like, whatever, but you should probably come clean to some of the others, like Elena and Matt, because we don't want them to stop trusting you. Alright, so then Mark and Alex were chatting in the HOH room. Mark wants some answers. So first of all, he thanks Alex for keeping him safe, and he's like, do you think I need to worry about what people are saying about me? And Alex is like, well, you know, the Cody thing wasn't great. So she wants to know more info about his relationship with Cody. So Mark is saying, honestly, Cody was my ride or die, but I did not know about his plans last week to go after Paul and then Christmas. I wasn't a part of that. Mark also says that he was not one of the votes to evict Ramses last week, and he doesn't think Dominique was either. So then he starts accusing a bunch of other people, like Kevin. He's even throwing out Matt and Raven. And Alex is just like, no, it wasn't them. Raven swore on her pacemaker. Matt swore on, like, the Catholic faith. And Kevin, no. Okay, so anyway. Alex is like, okay, here's why I nominated Dominique. She was the only one from the group who was throwing everyone else under the bus. She says that Elena even tried to defend Dominique and keep her off the block, and it didn't sit well with Alex that Dominique was then saying like, oh, Elena's jealous of me, blah blah blah, she's trying to come after me. So she says Dominique is stirring the pot, and even if she wasn't one of the votes to evict Ramses, she's like a problem in the group. So Mark is like, okay, I get that, but he feels really bad because he has an emotional connection with Dominique. He says it's not a game thing, but this is Big Brother, who cares? So then, it's Dominique's turn to talk to Alex. So they're up in the HOH room, having a one-on-one. And Dominique is like, all right, Alex, I want to know what red flags are you referring to? You know, what red flags did you see in regards to me? So Alex, again, is like, I'll be honest, it's the same explanation she gave Mark. You were the only one in the group that thought that somebody else was out to get you. and she was implying that that was Elena. So she said everybody else was supporting each other. Elena wanted me to protect you, but then you were talking crap about her, so it made me feel really weird. So Dominique's like, well, I do still think that there's something there, and it's going to come out soon. Like, somebody on my team has betrayed me, and God will tell her who that is. So then Alex is like, I want you to know that this was my decision. Please don't blame Elena. Please don't blame Mark. And then she's talking about how Christmas is like a shifty person in their group. She knows that that's one of the people that's screwing them. And Dominique's like, wait, so you know that Christmas is screwing us over, but she's not on the block, and I am. Like, what's the deal with that? So then Alex is like, yeah, maybe I just made the worst decision of my life. I don't know. But she apologizes, like, I'm sorry, Dominique, if you really are innocent and you're just stuck in the middle, but if you can figure out who wants to get rid of you in the group and is stirring up drama, let me know, and I'll try to put them up instead of you. You know, use that veto. We'll see. Okay, so then it was time for the POV player draw. What? On a Friday night? Usually it's on a Saturday morning. So Alex chose Paul to host the competition, and the players were Alex, Dominique, Josh, Jason, Kevin, and Christmas. Oh? Christmas? Something tells me she's not actually going to be competing. So she's just like filling that spot, but I don't think she even got to compete in the challenge. So everybody's like, wait, do you think the POV is going to be tonight? What's going on? Yeah, it is. So before that, Dominique was in the rose bedroom with Paul, Mark, and Elena. And Dominique is still fuming from her nomination. She's like, I was betrayed by my very own. She feels like it was a personal attack, because she's given no one a reason to target her that she can see. So she's really trying to figure out, like, what the hell happened here. It's really hard for her to believe that nobody from the group knew that she was going up. She kept saying, we're supposed to be one team, one fight. She's like the only one that I've heard say that. But she's really into that phrase, one team, one fight. So then Paul asks, so do you think it was more than one person involved? And Dominique's like, yup. So everybody in the room is just like, this is really awkward. Like, is she trying to imply that it's us? What's going on here? So then she also says that she feels like she was targeted because of jealousy, because she is observant and senses things ahead of time. She's smart and intellectual, and people are threatened by that. Oh, damn. Okay. So then the feeds went down at 9 p.m. for the Power Veto competition, and they returned just after 12:30 a.m. It was a late night, and that was just the beginning. So I don't know exactly what kind of competition this was yet. I just know that they were wearing some sort of like Indiana Jones Western wear outfits. I don't know what this competition was, but Jason won the power of veto. Whoa! It's a double whammy for the outsiders this week. So after the competition, Paul was up in the HOH room with Alex. I thought he was gonna, like, hang back now. I mean, I didn't actually think that, but I thought he said that. But he's already pushing his agenda here. He agrees with Alex that Jess should come down and a pawn should go up on the block because they want to ensure Dominique's eviction this week. So Alex was thinking, maybe I'll put up Raven because nobody's gonna vote her out. And Paul's like, yeah, that's a good idea, but I have a better one. What if you take down Jess and put up Mark? So it's Mark versus Dominique. Because then you're taking away Mark's vote, because Mark would potentially vote to keep Dominique this week because he's like really close to her. And then with Mark up on the block, you're also ensuring Elena's vote because she's not going to vote against Mark, especially against Dominique. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, just talk to Mark beforehand, it'll all be okay. And Alex is like, no, I gave my word that I wasn't going to put Mark up. Like, no, it's not going to happen. All right. So that was, like I said, only the beginning. So then Alex and Jason were strategizing in the HOH room, and Jason's like, all right, I'm going to be using the veto on Jess. We're going to take that option away from people because they are worried that if Jess stays up on the block, the cool kids are just going to, like, vote her out and keep Dominique. So they don't want that to happen. So Alex is like, yeah, that's great, but, like, who's going to go up in Jess's place? She doesn't want to put up Mark. So then she's thinking either Raven or Christmas, and Jason's like, you know what, I think Raven is a safe bet. He's cool with that. So Alex then brings up she's starting to get really nervous about Kevin, and I'm starting to get nervous that she's getting nervous. She says she thinks that Kevin's playing both sides. He talks too much to everybody. He threw the power veto competition apparently, but he did win $27. Woo! So now he won $25,027. But nobody knows about that except for Paul. And she's really starting to think that he might have been that third vote to evict Ramses this week. So she's like, holy crap, we can't trust Kevin, but they're not going to deal with that right now. And then a little while later, Paul is pushing the two of them that Mark should be the pawn. He's still on that. And eventually they agree, like, yes, we'll at least talk about it with Mark. We'll see what happens. So they do. And Mark does not want to be a pawn. He's not trusting his team right now, especially now that Dominique is up on the block. And with the info that came out from Cody last week about how Mark and Dominique potentially knew what he was going to do, putting up Christmas. And Mark is like, I don't feel comfortable being a pawn. I don't want to do it. So not only is he saying he doesn't want to be a pawn, he was also trying to convince them to keep Dominique this week. He was like, let's just get out Jess, let's get out Ramses, whatever, let's get out somebody like that. We don't know for sure that Dominique is trying to stir the pot, and they're just like, dude, stop. It's happening. Okay, so then meanwhile, Dominique was pulling aside her group mates one by one, and I wouldn't say allies, because did they ever actually make a real alliance? This is so weird, because I feel like this season we've had the fewest number of solid alliances ever. Is anyone in a legit alliance? It doesn't seem like it. Anyway, she's asking everybody, like, did you betray me? Ah! It's like super awkward. So she's like, I received confirmation from God that the group betrayed me, and God is going to tell me who the snake was. Okay? Oh my god. Okay, so this stuff went on all night, and I mean all night. I'm not exaggerating here, literally all night and morning. So you got Dominique questioning people, you've got Paul trying to convince Mark to be a pawn, and you got Paul trying to convince Alex and Jason that Mark should be the pawn. It's like non-stop craziness. My head was about to explode, but that was still not the end of it. Okay, so this all-night cluster fluke led to an early morning house meeting. So Dominique pulls Alex aside, and she's all... She tells Alex that she wants to have a house meeting the next morning. She doesn't want to do it right now, but she's like, yeah, I want to get everybody together. She's like implying that there is a snake in the group, and she's like implying that it's Paul. Duh, he's got a freaking snake tattooed on his chest. But anyway, the confrontation begins a little earlier than Dominique planned, because Alex went and told Paul, like, yo, Dominique is pretty much saying you're a snake. So he goes downstairs and finds her, and he's just like, oh, you think I'm a snake? I'm slithering around? Well, let's go talk about it. So she's just like, all right. So the confrontation begins. Round one, Dominique versus Paul at 5:45 a.m. Mother effer. Okay, so Alex, Mark, and Elena were also present. And Paul was like, all right, let's hear it. I'm all ears, but I don't think snakes have ears, so... And Dominique's like, oh, and that's really cute. So Dominique is like, why do you think I called you a snake? Did I ever actually say that? Do not freaking pull this shit at 5:45 in the morning. I am not feeling it. That is ridiculous. Oh my god. So she's like, yeah, there is a snake in this house, and if you guys get rid of me this week, they're gonna come after you next. Yeah, that's probably true. But Dominique is like, Paul, I confided in you, and you shared it with other people. So she, at this point, is referring to saying that Elena is jealous of her relationship with Mark. So Dominique is like, I only said that to like 2 people, you and Alex. And Elena's like, guess what? Paul wasn't the one who told me that stuff. It was Alex. And Alex is like, yup. So then Paul's like, oh, looks like you're the snake. So he's talking about how honestly he plays, and then Dominique and Paul are going freaking back and forth about whether or not she actually called him a snake. It's like some semantics bullshit that we don't have time or energy for. So they're going back and forth. Paul is calling her a snake. They're going back and forth about that. And then Dominique is accusing Paul of saying that he's dissolving the team. Paul's like, I never said that. I said I would reassess because I feel like I can't trust the team anymore. And Dominique is like, I promise on God that you said that. And Paul's like, well, God can't vouch for you in this moment. God doesn't belong on this freaking TV show. So he's sick of her like bringing religion into this argument. And then, I mean, they're going on and on back and forth. And it gets pretty loud at times. I can't believe the whole house didn't wake up. But the other house guests did trickle in as this dumpster fire continued to burn in like a freaking glorious blaze. So the only people that were missing eventually were Kevin, Ramses, and Jess. Again, I don't know how the hell they slept through all this shit, but they did. So Dominique is like, I want to make very clear to you guys that I voted to evict Cody last week. I was being targeted by someone in my own group, and she is still trying to figure out why exactly she's up on the block. So Christmas is like, all right, well, you keep saying that there's an infiltrator in the group. So why don't you just tell us who that is, you know? Tell us who it is. You got this house meeting. We're all here. This is what you wanted, right? Tell us who it is. So Dominique's like, I'm not going to name names. Oh my gosh, are you freaking kidding me? So eventually she's like, all right, it's Paul. You think after you've been arguing for freaking like an hour and a half? My God. So, yeah. They're going back and forth about that again. And then this shit finally wrapped up around 7 a.m. Oh my goodness. Oh wait, let me give it a Dre. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, it wrapped up around 7 a.m. It was just like a massive circular argument. I would call it a circle jerk. I know that that means something else, but I feel like everybody was really jerked around in a circle, so I am going to call it a circle jerk. Sorry. Anyway, I think that this whole thing was really bad for Dominique, not so much for Paul. I think Dominique was right, like Paul is a freaking snake for sure, but Paul is really good at talking, and after this was all wrapped up and people were like trickling out and like going to bed or whatever, people were telling Paul, like, you're good, we're good with you, it's all good, Dominique is crazy. And Paul was really painting this as Dominique's last-ditch effort to stay, so it looks like he came out on top in this whole call-out house meeting thing. Yeah, so everybody, like, tries to go back to sleep, and damn, Big Brother still tried to wake them up at 10 a.m. It didn't really work, though. Like, even with all the house girls, the house lights must remain on, blah, blah, blah. No. They still slept for most of the, actually, like, all of the morning. Most of the house guests didn't get up until early afternoon, except for, like, those really well-rested ones, like Kevin, Ramses, and Jessica. It was hours before they even knew all the shit that went down. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so then today, Mark is still saying that he's not comfortable going up as a pawn. They're still trying to, you know, push him to do it. And he promises Alex, if you keep me off the block, I will vote out Dominique. I don't care anymore. You will have the votes. It's all good. But Alex is really nervous about leaving Jessica up on the block. She's scared that they're just yesing her and they'll vote out Jess if she's still up there. So there was so much freaking back and forth. Oh my God. I'm not going to bore you with all of the intricacies because it's just too much. But I will say it seemed like Alex got to a point where she was like, it was like when you ask your parents if you can do something and they're like, ask your father, and then the dad is like, ask your mother. So Alex is now saying, like, it's up to Jason. God, his freaking name. It's up to Jason if he's gonna use the veto or not, and if he does, I'm gonna have to put up Mark, and that's just how it is. Who knows if that's actually for real or not, but that's what she was saying. And then in other news, just to lighten the mood a little bit, new have-nots for the week. So Alex got got to pick. She went along with the results from the HOH competition. She picked the first 3 people to fall who were actually eligible to be have-nots. So that was Josh, Ramses, and Mark. And then the 4th have-not is Jason, which carries over from last week because he took the temptation and failed. So he's still got another week left. So then it was time to see if anybody was going to go for this week's have-not temptation. And there were some biters. Josh and Mark both ran to the diary room to get the key. Josh ended up getting it first, and he went to pick. And guess what? He's a have-not for 2 weeks. Oh, shit, that sucks. Okay, so anyway, we're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Oh my god! Thank you guys so much for sticking around if you watched this whole thing. I really hope that I explained everything well, because I am not kidding you guys. This was a freaking disaster to watch and to cover and to relay to you guys. So I hope that you got something out of that. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comments, and until tomorrow, much love.